All right, what's going on, everybody? I know it's been a minute. Last week I couldn't do the show, and I apologize for that. I got a little caught up. We do this stuff as content creators, but this don't pay the bills. So, unfortunately, I'm beholden to my day job. So, last week was one of those weeks. So, I apologize. We are back this week, so I'm glad you are here rocking with me. Our New York Knicks had a very interesting week with a little West Coast trip. It's not over yet. We got two more games taking place this week. But yeah, it's an interesting week. We got some stuff to talk about. There's some good things that came out of this week, but there's also some bad things, some stuff that we've developed over the past week and a half that we're still trying to work on fixing, righting the ship, if you will. There's definitely some issues, but we got some good news. Josh Hart is back. The team looks like they're playing better. We saw Mike Brown do some interesting things with his lineups and rotations, and most recently in the last game with his fourth quarter lineup. So talk about all that and just give you a quick recap of the week. You know how we do. Listen, man, thank you guys for being here. As I always say, we are blessed and highly favored to wake up another day and walk this earth. So don't forget to check on yourself, check on your loved ones, family members, and friends, because things are happening. And, it don't take much to give somebody a quick call. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in a little bit. Let's get it cracking.
We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks.
Say go New York, go New York, go. Say go New York, go New York, go. Say go New Year, new team, it's the same dream. New Knicks City units, boy, they stay clean. I just caught mine off of Fanatics in the garden with my hands in the air, we back at it.
All right, we are back. I gotta cut that last part down a little bit. It folds over a little too long for my liking, but it's okay. We gonna fix it in the future. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to SKF Weekly. You see it. We are back. I'm your man, Ron. That's my brother, John. That's my brother. Okay, all right. Listen, you already can tell. I'm holding it down. But you know what? I ain't really holding it down by my lonesome. I got a special guest that I haven't kicked it with in a minute, and I'm really excited and happy. Anytime I get a chance to kick it with this brother, for all the reasons you guys should already know, family in the house, and it's been a minute. He might have to bounce out, but I got him for the moment. I got him, and that's all that matters. We'll talk this Nick talk the way we talk it, okay? So please like the show. If you're on X or on Facebook, share out with the people. Let them know we're here rocking. But the tube, y'all YouTubers know what to do. Hit that like button. Anyway, let me bring my man up. Let's go with the pod father himself, Mr. Simeon Russell. Let's go, baby.
What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh man, I can't complain, brother. I'm just happy to be able to talk Knicks with a guy that makes it all possible for me. Not only is he someone I can say that helped me get started in this thing, but it's also someone I like to call friend.
There we go. First and foremost.
What's going on, brother?
Chilling,
first off, are you good? Everything good? Everything, life is treating you good?
Life is treating me good. Beautifully.
All right. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. How are you?
Hey man, I can't complain. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. As time is going by and we get into another year of life, I'm realizing this last year has been really trying. Lost a lot of good people, lost another good person a couple days ago. And I'm just realizing as we're getting older, this is the next wave. Like,
yeah,
you're starting to see people go. And I'm like, just get used to life this way is weird.
It's crazy. Something that I've really learned over the last year. And I know, this is a Knicks show, but or something I really just started enforcing. Not that I really learned, but boundaries. Boundaries. Like really enforcing boundaries in different ways, to just so that I can be at peace. But boundaries at work, even sometimes boundaries with extended family, just enforcing my boundaries.
Nah, man, that's smart. I mean, listen, we as we are getting older, we are learning more about ourselves, and we're learning what we need to do to keep ourselves sane and keep ourselves at peace. You know what I mean? Everything
Right.
we do in life, if we don't start taking care of ourselves better, it's just going to get worse and worse as the years go by, and then we're going to look back and like, man, where did the time go? Now I can't fix anything.
Exactly. Where to go?
Yeah.
So yeah, boundaries are important, man.
I hear you, man. I definitely agree with that. That's smart. I think I may have to take a page out of that Simeon Russell book right there myself. Like boundaries. Okay, I like it, man. So
Talk about.
yeah, we'll try to keep it as brief as we can in reference to all the different topics. But most importantly, guys, you know how we like to go do a little recap. It's the weekly show, so we got to hit you with the good and the bad, and there was some bad this week. So unfortunately, let me put it on the screen so y'all can see, because it is what it is. We just dealing with it. Oh man. All right, here we go. So yep, New York Knicks started off the week, kicked it off against the Detroit Pistons, and yeah, that was great. New York, if you didn't see the game, good for you. But the Knicks wound up losing 121-90 to the Pistons in quite the shellacking. Everybody knew the Pistons were waiting for this game, right? They had a certain taste in their mouth about how the playoffs went. I would say the good thing about the Pistons team is that they are playing great basketball this year. They're first in the division, and they look like they're creating an identity. It may be a little bit old school, a little new school, but nevertheless, they're growing into a really formidable team. And now that they're feeling confident about it, of course, they circle this game on the list like, okay, we're going to play these Knicks again. It's going to be different because we're coming into our own. And unfortunately for the Knicks, they came out with a vengeance and basically showed the Knicks that we are serious, and the Knicks had a problem on their hands with this team. And the other thing too is, if you guys remember in the playoffs, we didn't get a big dose of Isaiah Stewart because he got hurt. So seeing him out there definitely made a difference on both ends of the basketball court. New York Knicks only had 3 guys in double figures. Mikal Bridges had 10, Jalen Brunson had 25, and Miles McBride had 17. You got 5 points from OG Anunoby, 6 points from Karl Anthony Towns. I don't think you
win. Rebound from Karl Anthony Towns.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like I don't think you win many games with that type of output. That was terrible. It was horrible. And then real quick, the flip side, Asur Thompson gave you 10 and 7. Cade Cunningham, who is a phenomenal young player, and just, he was the goods when he came out of college. He's the goods now in the NBA. 29 and 13 and 2 blocks. Javonte Green, who's somebody I wanted the Knicks to get in an off season, many off seasons ago, even last off season, but whatever. He had 17 points. Jaden Ivey had 16, so him being healthy, you definitely see it. Dennis Jenkins had 12 points. And I mean, it's just one of those things. More importantly was the play of this guy right here, Isaiah Stewart, because he only had 7 points, but he had 9 rebounds and 2 blocks. But it was the defensive side. The man is a menace. He was everywhere. He was making everybody's shot a little bit harder to work for. So it was a tough loss. We got smacked, and it is what it is. Sam, your thoughts on the game?
And you know what's even worse? Jalen Duren didn't even play. So we got roughed up, and Duren didn't even play.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
That was
my takeaway. Well, I've had this takeaway for a while with this team, but this just kind of reinforced my takeaway. We struggle so bad with aggressive teams, physical, aggressive teams, and I don't like it because when we get into the playoffs, it's a physical and aggressive game. You know what I mean? But we struggle. Any team that comes in and is really they put it in their mindset that they're going to play us aggressively, physically. We struggle with them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge concern for me. Huge concern, because the playoffs are aggressive.
Yeah, there's no way around it. Like, the one thing that we've been able to count on with this Nick team is that they've been kind of gritty, kind of, they've always had some fight in them. A couple years ago, there was a time where we thought they were never out of a game. To start this season, there's been some moments where we started to feel like they were kind of channeling that, starting to be never out of a game. But ever since we've developed some poor habits in this current, it's not a losing streak anymore. I think we've broken it, but it's still, we've lost a few games here.
Yeah.
During this time, you've noticed some bad habits creep up, and that never out of a game didn't quite seem like it was there. We've been struggling and a little bit lost.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, very lost.
Yeah.
I was on Tony's show earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Did a show last night, and the one thing, well, a couple of things that concerns me is I don't know if we have a defensive identity,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, like it or not, with last year, and earlier, we got into a whole Tibbs versus Mike Brown thing, and I'm not even trying to focus on that. It's just we knew last year that a staple of our defense was we weren't going to let people get to the basket. And a lot of times it led teams were killing us from three. But we knew that was at least a staple, and that was the philosophy. I'm not sure what it is this year. Teams are killing us in the paint. Teams are knocking it down from three. You know what I mean? I've seen so many dunks at the rim, layups at the rim this year, and it's concerning because I just don't know if we're going to have the ability to protect the paint at all this year. You know what I mean? And then it loosens up the defense because teams are getting in. So we got to suck in, and then now you get wide open threes. So I don't know. I don't know what the defensive identity is, and offensively, I'm not sure I'm seeing the system that we, thought we were going to be seeing, like the different type of movements and things like that. So I don't know if it's just, we're in a growth in the middle of a growth spurt and, we've got to get it, or if it's not there. I don't know. The only thing I see pick and rolls and I see handoffs. I'm not sure if I'm seeing much else. You know what I mean? And I like Mike Brown. I like the way he coaches the guys. I like the way he pulls them to the side. He's teaching and those things. And I'm not saying that he's not putting it in. Are we not grasping it, or is it just taking longer for us to develop it? I don't know.
It's tough. It is tough because you've got a couple good defensive minds working together. You got Mike Brown and you got Brendan O'Connor. And for whatever reason, they haven't been able to solve the Knicks' defensive issues. Now, sometimes in a situation like this, when you move away from a system that's really good at, hiding certain things at the detriment to other things. But, Tibbs' system was very good at hiding certain things, and it had its moments when it really looked good out there, even though, they always had that perimeter defensive issue. They were very solid in his philosophy of how he can get the best out of them defensively and funnel people to the big man, and the big man stepping up and helping. In this system, it's a little different. They still use the drop down coverage, but they're not doing it as much. They do it here and there. Now they're adding zone, and the zones haven't been. And I know on your show you've talked about this in the past, that zones are really about personnel, and if you don't have athleticism or good speed, sometimes youth helps with it.
Right.
We're implementing these zones, and we're not necessarily. It's not with those lineups. It's with our starters who need the help. we're having a lot of issues trying to figure out a solve.
Right.
A lot of
A
issues.
lot of issues trying to figure out what do we do? How do we defend?
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, and that's probably the biggest issue. You know, you have guys that if all else fails, you know, you got guys that can score one-on-one. If all
Mhm.
else fails, you know, you don't want it to be like that. You want it to be like last night, right? Last night, Jalen Brunson took 19 shots. Everybody else, you know, was 15, 17, you know, like that. It was great shot distribution last night.
Right.
You know, you want it to be like that. But you know, if all else fails offensively, you know you can figure out a way to score because you got guys that can go one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If that's what it goes down to. But defensively, you know, you got to be on a string. You got to have chemistry. You got to have guys that want to get it and understand defense. And sometimes, you know, I just wonder, is it the personnel?
That was the next thing. That was the next thing I was going to say. Could it be the personnel? The personnel groupings just don't all fit and mesh together with everything that the team is trying to do now. Like with the new style of defense and even with the offense, maybe the problem is not, I don't necessarily think the offense is bad. I think the offense is good. We've seen the fruits of it, but for whatever reason, we're not sustaining the motion. That's what I keep talking about. I've been saying that the Knicks need to move their bodies, move the ball, and trust each other. Now I'm seeing the trust is a little iffy, but it seems to be the last couple games they've been trying to trust each other. They're passing the ball. I'm still a little iffy on the moving the bodies.
The moving the bodies. Yeah, because
not a lot of motion.
No, it's kind of like guy in the corner, guy on the wing, big man in the middle, come up, let's set a screen. I come off the screen. If nothing works off the screen, I'm going to hand it off. You know, but there's no one cutting to the basket. And when you have a guy like Cat who can pass the ball, I don't understand. And you have a guy like McCall who's good at cutting. OG's good at cutting. Josh Hart can cut. Like, why would you know, get Cat at the elbow, at the top of the key, and let these guys cut when you don't have a big man in the paint? You know, we're not seeing that much. That'd be a couple of games, maybe. But
you know what it kind of feels like, Sim? Like they've this read and react offense is something that you kind of got to get used to, and it's ever changing. It's always evolving depending on what's going on out there. I feel like, and I'm just speculating, I kind of feel like it started to get a little too complicated for them, especially with the different matchups. And I almost feel like they've dumbed down the read so that they can react better.
So they can react. Maybe. Because, you know, read and react is all about understanding the principles of it. If you don't understand it, so the Atlanta Hawks, I think, run a read and react 5-out offense really well. Right? And you see them just understanding the principles. If a guy dribbles towards you, you cut to the basket, right, to get out the way. If you pass one way, you cut and you go opposite, somebody fills. You know, that person that's filling might set a screen. Maybe you get a handoff, you know, and, you know, you're reacting to the defense. Right? But they're just principles that you go by, and, you know, based on the person with the ball and what they're doing, you react. Based on the defense, you react. And then that person with the ball reacts to the defense. And then when that person with the ball reacts to the defense, everybody else knows what to do. And if you don't naturally understand what you're supposed to do in those situations, you can get confused. You know, all it takes is one person to not know what they're supposed to do after a move is made, and, you know, everything is stuck. You know what I mean? So yeah, I might agree with you that people, you know, aren't understanding what they're supposed to do, not understanding the principles, and so they kind of dumbed it down, maybe.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
wouldn't be surprised because
Yeah.
I'm also seeing that when we started to struggle a little bit, and we couldn't, even in the motion, we couldn't find the right shots, or guys weren't hitting the shots when they were open. You know, obviously, this is where people start to get on Brunson, but Brunson is going to see what's happening. Like, we need baskets. Okay, I'm going to call my own number. And I think that's also a product of us moving away from things a little bit, because we did get into a little bit of a rut. Guys weren't really knocking down shots. But I think we're starting to get back to knocking down shots. You see, if you looked at the game, the box scores recently, there's an uptick in shooting percentage after the first couple. Because I looked, it was pretty bad. I looked on Saturday, and I was looking at the different lines for each starting person, and they were pretty bad earlier in the week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. You know, and maybe. You know, maybe we just don't have guys who are good for that system.
It could be. It could be.
You know, maybe we're just not good for that system. I don't know.
I do think that unfortunately timing is not great, because it would have been better to have these type of issues earlier in the season, but we kind of got out the gate a little slow, but then hit it, right?
Right.
And so now we expect it just to be running all the way and just keep getting better. But now we've hit our little wall. So,
yeah. And also, I think, you know, something that most of us called for in the offseason, we still don't have a distributor, you know, a guy that is worried about everyone else and not himself in the offense, like that can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like a Lonzo Ball type of guy that can just distribute the ball to the other guys on the floor while Brunson can go for his, you know, and be off the ball some. You know, we're relying on, you know, OG, Mikal Bridges, and they're not true just, you know, distributors, facilitators, right? They're not true facilitators. So they're really just bringing the ball up so Brunson can be off the ball, but they're not bringing the ball up and then also telling people to do this or do that, you know, to create, you know, some other offensive rhythms. You know what I mean? Tyler Kolek can do it. He's good, and he's not afraid to tell people where to go. You know what I mean? And where to be out there on the floor. I think another facilitator is important, especially, you know, in that starting lineup, because Brunson is he's a scorer first. He's not really a facilitator. He can get assists on nights when he's not hitting. I think that's more from him penetrating and collapsing the defense and kicking it. So facilitating duties, you know, a facilitator may not even get assists, right? Doesn't have to have a lot of assists. They are just coaching the offense on the floor, coaching the offense, coaching the team on the floor, telling people where to be, where to go. That's going to create the plays that are needed, getting the ball to the right people at the right time, figuring out the mismatches, like really just being the coach out there on the floor, you know, and seeing the game on the floor and playing from that perspective. So that person may not get a lot of assists, but they're valuable, especially to guys that cannot create their own shot or aren't the best at creating their own shot. They get those guys in the flow of the game. And I still think we missed that offensively.
Yeah. I think we've noticed that when things are going right, at least in recent times, with the offense really clicking lately, a lot of that has been when Brunson is playing off ball, Kolek is in the game. You know, statistically, plus or minus, I think it has turned out to be one of our better lineups when Brunson and Kolek are out there together, along with like Cat, OG, and Mikal. But I think that's a big part of it. And I think that, you know, as much as all of these guys are starting to come back healthy, Josh Hart's back and Landry Shamet should be back soon too, maybe the next game. Maybe Coach Brown has to figure out a way to try to keep Kolek in the rotation at certain times, and unless something changes, unless you wind up making a trade to bring in something different to help the team. But yeah, I think somebody like Kolek is very important right now, unless you have somebody else. Now I would say that even with Kolek, you know, now that we're playing tougher competition, stronger defensive teams, more physical defensive teams, he's at a little bit of disadvantage because he's not the most physical on the other side of the ball. So he struggles a little bit. Plus, his game is not necessarily dictated by breaking down the defense and getting into the paint and scoring if need be. Guys like that are always more effective. If a guy can break down the defense, you know, get into the paint and look for his shot and get a bucket that the defense has to be worried about, It's so much more effective. That the 3Ds, dribble, drive, and dish, is always good. And so,
Always.
yeah, and
Right.
I think that's a part of the issue that Kolek has to continue to work on in order to be even more effective out there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he been playing lately though? Like what's happened? What's up? I mean, he had some great games. He, you know, he helped us win some basketball games. And then when the lineup started, Deuce came back and his minutes started to dwindle. And I wondered why. I thought he earned some minutes.
I don't know. I think he's got some red in his ledger. That's a little Marvel joke, guys. I mean, if you guys know, Black Widow, for all the good she's done, being a part of the Avengers, all that good stuff. Back in the day, she used to, take people out. So she had some red in her ledger. Anyway, I think the red in Kolek's ledger is, and I don't know, once again, this is all speculative. I think the coaching staff, Mike Brown in particular, feels that he doesn't do well against physical teams. And I mean, we just played Detroit. That's one. And then that segues right into this next game that we had against the Clippers, another physical defensive type team. Maybe not as physical as Detroit, but still physical in their own regards. And you got to see, because Kawhi Leonard was all over the place, hitting everybody. I don't know. he was being as physical as he could be in his his day and age.
Right.
Yeah.
Without getting hurt. Right?
Yeah, there you go, without getting hurt. And so this was a nice bounce back game after getting smacked by Detroit. The fact that you go out there and face a tough, Los Angeles Clippers team has been playing good basketball. Kawhi Leonard's been rejuvenated. He found the fountain of youth. He's been having some really good scoring games. And so to go out there, that was going to be a tough test. But the Knicks were able to go get the victory, 123-111. Behind some really good play of, let's see here, we had OG Anunoby had 20 points, 3 rebounds. Mikal Bridges had 15, 9, and 5. Wait a minute. This is wrong. Am I tripping?
No, I think that's right.
Yeah, it is right. You know what it is? It almost looks like identical. And I'm tripping because it almost looks like identical numbers to what the Knicks did last night, or what. I mean, against Portland.
When you look at the scoring, you look at the shooting. Yeah, very similar.
Brunson had 26 again. Towns had 20. What? This is so weird. OG had 20. That's kind of deja vu-y. Okay. The only reason I know it's different is because Mikal had 20 and here he had 15. All right. I was tripping out for a minute, guys. That was kind of weird. All right. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Karl Anthony Towns had 20 and 11 and 7. Jalen Brunson had 26 and 7, 3 rebounds. Miles McBride had 16 and 4. How good has Miles McBride been shooting? I mean, the game before this last game, he had a little off night, but he's been really, really good since he's come back from injury. Jordan Clarkson had 12 in this game. And they were able to keep the Clippers at bay for the most part. They had 4 guys in double figures. Kawhi had if you could say, a mediocre 25, because he's been really getting some good numbers up lately. That was solid for them defensively. Zubac, is a good player. He always does work against the Knicks. Harden had his little 23 and 9. He's been solid. And John Collins, oddly enough, had 18 and 10. He's not bad. But the Knicks were able to, keep the Clippers, from doing what they really wanted to do out there. Because the game, I at one point, Sim, when I was watching the game, I was like, uh-oh. If they don't stop James Harden from putting up all of these easy shots where he's hitting right in their face, he's going to the line, I'm like, I don't need to see vintage Harden, because
right.
But they cleaned it up eventually. They cleaned it up. Anyway, what was your thoughts on them versus the Clippers and how that looked?
I mean, I thought, versus the Clippers, again, they had great shot distribution, right? It's almost like the slump that they were in. The first quarter, they were kind of still in the slump. And then they shook themselves out of the slump. However, they did, right? Got themselves out of the slump and started playing, more inspired, better basketball, shooting the ball more efficiently. Again, the Clippers are, what are they? 10 games below 500 or something like that.
Mhm.
We don't know. I mean, they came into the game playing better. We don't know how good they are.
Right.
Um, I think it was it was a good comeback game, for the Knicks to, just get themselves off the snide and then, start building, coming back up. You know what I mean? They had some good defensive moments in the Clippers game. Just like they had some good defensive moments last night. Can they package that together? I don't. Can they package it and do it consistently? I don't know.
Mhm.
But it was a good game against the Clippers. It was a good game. Good bounce back game. Good shot distribution. All the way through. Good. They had everybody kind of participated in the win. Contributed to the game. You didn't have one guy kind of fade away and not be there. They took care of the basketball. You notice in our losses, we have 17, 18, 19 turnovers.
Yep.
But we had 10 turnovers that night. Took care of the basketball. So it was it was a good game for the Knicks.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of those very, I hope that's not something that becomes one of those stats because, every time I have a show, there's always someone who puts in the stat, like when the Knicks get 30 plus assists or whatever, we win and we're 10-1 and all that, whatever the stats are. And I appreciate that. And that's true. I hope that the flip side doesn't happen. Like every time the Knicks get more than 15 turnovers, like I don't want it to be that because I feel like we're going in that direction. We're having moments where we've lost a game or two in the past where we just didn't play well, but we still kept the turnovers at a certain level. I hate it to be that now when we lose a game, it's because we were sloppy with the basketball. Like I don't want it to be something that, comes back to bite us in the end because the Knicks have been actually one of the better teams at not turning over the ball for the past few years. We've had little moments here and there, a hiccup, the playoffs last year versus Indiana. Like you just don't want to see that. You don't want that to become your Achilles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And let me tell you one more similarity to last night's game. The Knicks only played 9 players against the Clippers. Right. Mo, Pacome, Ariel, Huck Porter, they played in the end. But for all intents and purposes, they had a 9-man rotation.
Right.
Last night, the Knicks had an 8-man rotation for the most part. Right. Mo played 2 minutes or whatever, if I feel like it might be time for. I love the fact that Mike Brown, gave some guys some looks to see what they can do, but we're at a point, unless he's going to wait until after the All-Star game, I don't know, but we're at a point where maybe he needs to figure out, okay, who are going to be my sure rotation guys, and let them build that chemistry, see if that chemistry starts to build. Now, obviously, if there's injuries, you got to put somebody else in.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, in some of our better wins this season, it's been a 8 to 9 man rotation.
Yeah, this is true. And I feel like we are definitely kind of trending towards that again. I don't think he's full blown decided to do it yet, but I do definitely think he's leaning there. And, it's only a matter of time before he locks in and says, this is what it's going to be. But I think anybody, if you watch the Knicks and just what they are, don't forget the Tibbs years because Tibbs had his own way of doing things. But the thing about the way it's been done is that it's created patterns. Guys have gotten used to it. That's how they've developed their chemistry and having that time and be able to shoot out of slumps and get a rhythm. And, the other thing about it is there's a positive to it is when you're out there playing, when things aren't going well, you're not necessarily the last thing you want to have in your mind is, oh man, I'm about to go to the bench. I'm not going to be able to, I made a turnover. I can't get back. Oh, I missed like 3 shots in a row. All right. Maybe my elbow's this way. Maybe I'm not playing. You got time to work it out. And you're not thinking about, oh man, if I don't get it right, I'm gonna be on the bench in a little bit. Like that's something that I think maybe this Knicks team was starting to feel a little bit. I think Josh Hart was definitely starting to feel it. That's why he complained earlier in the season that, hey, I need more minutes. We need to be out there. And it looks like they fare better when they, I mean, say what you will, but if you know, you could be concerned about all the minutes they play, but it feels like that this team plays better when they're out there more consistently. So
Yeah.
I would agree.
I think they do. It's just hard to consistently play 12 players, in my opinion.
That's
It
tough.
is just very hard because you need your better players to get a rhythm. You know what I mean? And when you're consistently trying to play 12, I think, you know what? It hurts most guys like Jordan Clarkson,
Mm-hmm.
those guys coming off the bench. You know, one thing that, you know, Tibbs did that I thought was really good for guys like Jordan Clarkson. With Tibbs, guys knew exactly when they were coming in the game and when they were leaving the game. You know, and that some of it was to the detriment of Tibbs,
Mm-hmm.
and some of it helped players. And like a guy like Jordan Clarkson, I think needs that kind of structure because Clarkson is erratic anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's an erratic player. You know what I mean? So that structure around him, I think, is important. And the way things have been right now, I don't think there's been really that structure with the lineups. Now, in Mike Brown's defense, he's probably still figuring out what his main rotation guys are going to be. You know what I mean? You know, still figuring out, okay, here's the group of guys that I really like on the floor. You know, so now I can, you know, I can get some order to it.
Right.
And it might be that it's his first year.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing too, Sim, before we get to the next game, is that he's got guys that he doesn't necessarily know that much about because he didn't pick these people. He got the team. He's the coach of the team, but these guys were already here for the most part. And so that, you know, some of these young people in particular, he doesn't know that much about. He wants to take a look at them to see what they have so that, you know, at least if a situation ever arises, hey, I know what this person does. If we get an injury, I can call on him. Or if there's a moment where, you know, I feel like I really want to change things up. I want to throw something different out there. I got something on the bench that I could go to. So that's one scenario, one thought of, one thought process. Another thing would be you also got now you only have two. You got two guys on two-way contracts that you already know if they're going to stay on these two-way contracts all year, you're only getting 40 games out of them max. They can't play in the playoffs. So if you want to see what they got, you're going to have to use them early, right? Because once it gets to the point where we get even closer to the playoffs, even if those guys got games on the shelf that they could play, they're not playing. You know, as we get closer, it's over. So I think he's also trying to be, you know, people do say he's a player's coach too. I think he's trying to be open, trying to give everybody a look, like you're saying, because things are going to change. And that second half, things are definitely changing.
They got to. You got to start. Yeah, they got to. You got to start preparing for, like, getting ready for the stretch run. They got to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, you know, then we had another West Coast game versus the Phoenix Suns, folks. And this one was, once again, if you guys notice, a pattern of physicality. And I wasn't even expecting this. I said this on Saturday, to be honest. I shout out to my boy Andy from overseas, to be true, as he would say. I didn't know how Phoenix played. I didn't really realize. I could have, if I would have thought about it, Dunn, Dylan Brooks. I could have started thinking, oh, they probably play physical, because I know Brooks is definitely a physical player, but I didn't realize like the whole team kind of adapted this style. And so once again, another very physical team that comes in and plays physical basketball, and the refs are allowing these physical teams to play physical and not get a lot of calls. I don't know, when the Knicks tried to do it, they seem to get caught up a little bit more, but it is what it is. But yeah, this was another tough one. Knicks wound up losing the game 112-107. Going back to what Sim has pointed out, once again, a high turnover game. Knicks had 17 turnovers in this one. Now they did have 6 guys in double figures, but it's just one of those where they didn't play good enough basketball through 3 quarters, in my opinion. I think the way they played in the fourth quarter was fantastic on the defensive side. I think they were a lot more aggressive offensively in the fourth. OG stepped up. He kind of got most of his points in the fourth quarter. Jalen was Jalen as usual and all that other stuff. But I think the Knicks kind of really, maybe they were just trying to figure out Phoenix and what Phoenix was doing to them and just trying to get comfortable. But it took them to the fourth quarter to really lock in. And by that time, it was too late. That's why in these games, we talked about in previous Knicks games in the past for years, Knicks can't take off quarters. Especially they can't get down early in games, first, second quarters, and go into the second half trying to get back. You can't have bad third quarters where you squander leads and go down 18 or 20. There's all the Knick hiccups in the past. But this game was one of those. I felt like they didn't come to play those first 3 quarters and didn't turn it on for the fourth. What was your thoughts, Sim?
Same thing. You can't. I don't know if we have that kind of oomph to just turn it on in the fourth and just ramsack somebody. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? After not playing well after 3 quarters. We've I agree with you 100%. I think they, this is kind of a new Phoenix team, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe they weren't sure what to expect from Phoenix. And then maybe the second time around, next time we play them in the Garden, we kind of know, okay, they are physical, they are aggressive, But again, it's one of those teams that's aggressive, and we struggle against aggressive teams. Physical teams, tough teams. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that bothers me a little bit. Because I don't know. I feel like teams feel like they can punk us. They want to. We only got a couple of guys that are like naturally kind of aggressive and tough. Josh Hart, Deuce. Brunson is a tough. He's a tough man. I mean, no one's really gonna mess with Brunson. He's always got a screw face. So
right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's strong. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? McCall's kind of quiet. OG's kind of quiet. Cat, is for the most part, not really quiet, but no one's afraid of him or anything like that. So it's just another team that we can point to, say, they were physical and they took advantage of their physicality against us. Now, let's see how we turn around against them when we play them at the Garden.
Right.
I don't know. It's you wonder, we're a team that we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's a lot of just speculation. We're supposed to be a championship caliber team, so obviously people are coming at us. They're going to come at us every time we step on the court. They're going to come at us hard because this is who we are. And if this is just is this part of the grind that they've got to go to become like a grizzled team that can win a championship? You know what I'm saying? Just everyone coming at you hard every single night. Is it that? Similar to like we all felt that Detroit prepared us to play Boston, right? And maybe the grind that we have to go through this season, even if the record doesn't turn out that great and this and that, is going to prepare us for the playoffs. And just when you're in that kind of a grind, and like we said, Mike Brown is going to shave down that lineup pretty soon. When you're in that kind of a grind, you become closer, right? Because it's such a battle, and you have no choice but to depend on your teammates. So you become a little bit closer, and maybe that builds the chemistry and just prepares us for that that type of playoff atmosphere. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Like I feel like we miss, and we didn't have it last year either, but like we miss this oomph that comes off the bench. We thought Jordan Clarkson was it, but he's so automatic to me. Every time he has the ball, I'm nervous. Right?
Sam,
nobody's gonna do.
Sam, before you continue, there's one thing that everybody that watches the shows, I hate that Jordan Clarkson does. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know if anybody talks about it. Jordan Clarkson, and I believe every time that he's done it, he's only made one shot by doing it. His running 3-point shot is the worst thing ever in basketball. I don't know why this guy continues to do it. You're not set. You're not facing the basket correctly. You're just running up the court, jumping over the 3-point line and heaving it like he drives me crazy with it, Sim.
Yeah, I know. I've never really watched him play a whole lot, right? So now, when I see him play, it just always looks like he's out of control. Always looks like he's out of control. When he gets the ball, no matter what, I already know he's going to the basket and shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As rarely is he looking to see what he creates. He's I don't know. Everything just looks out of control. And I feel like, when Shamet comes back, he might be the one that loses some minutes because Shamet, if he's hitting his shot and he's playing like the way he was playing, he looks under control when he's playing, right? His shot selection is good. You know what I mean? He's not going to take crazy shots. He just looks under control. Jordan Clarkson looks helter-skelter, out of control, and I think it makes the players around him like, okay, what's he doing? Where's he going? What's happening? You know what I mean? And it makes it kind of helter-skelter. I don't know. With Jordan Clarkson, but we don't have that oomph, that oomph off the bench, that punch that you need to come in off the bench. I just don't think we have that punch.
And even whatever we get, we can't depend on it. The bench. That's one thing I will definitely say that I've seen last year. We had no bench for the most part, and we had someone in Mikal Bridges, even OG at the time, but I would say Mikal more was so inconsistent. Now we've got a bench, but they are very inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting every single night. Deuce, surprisingly, because I've also said this about Deuce, that he's been inconsistent with his shot. Offensively, he's been inconsistent, but defensively, he's been solid. But now, ever since Deuce came back from this last injury, he has been fantastic on both sides of the ball. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily translate to big plays, but that's because there's other factors going on. Maybe the Knicks team is down, or we're not, doing things so it really translates. Or we get moments where we get the ball, like in the other game. I don't know which game it was recently. We got a steal and then we missed the layup. I'm like, we can't afford to be missing layups, especially when we're down, like on a fast break. Just things like that. But I think Deuce has been very consistent, but the bench has been.
I mean, Deuce came back versus Philly.
I think it was it Philly? I think it was Philly.
I think it was Philly. So since Deuce has come back against Philly's 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Next night, or not next night, but against Detroit, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Against the Clippers, 16 points, 4 assists. Against Phoenix, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. Last night, he had an off shooting night, 8 points last night. But I mean, he's been killing. He's been playing. I mean, he's been a boost off the bench. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? Well, he was starting some of those games though. You know what I mean? But he's been he's been cooking on both sides of the ball. When he shoots 3, you feel like, I mean, for the most part, you're like, oh, that's going in. I mean, just look against Philly, 71% from the 3-point line. Against Detroit, 83% from the 3-point line. And it's not like he was shooting like 3. He shot 7 3-point attempts against Philly, 5 for 7, 5 for 6 against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, against the Clippers, he took 11, but he was just 4 for 11. Against Phoenix, he was 3 for 8. Right, but I mean, you know, Deuce. You know, this is one way. I think it was. Forgot who the caller was. Right, but he said, one of the ways that you can get Tyler Kolek in the game
Mm-hmm.
and playing is to start Deuce and bring Josh Hart off the bench. I don't think Mike Brown is going to do that. I think he loves having Josh Hart in that starting lineup. He's kind of the glue guy, brings everything together. But that could work because, I mean, you see the way Deuce plays. He doesn't rebound the ball like Josh Hart does, but, he's a rugged defender. He can shoot the three. So he's still helping to spread the floor. And then, you have Tyler Kolek and Josh Hart and Jordan Clarkson, you know what I mean, and those guys off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you have a guard in Clarkson off the bench. That is a way that you can do it. But, does Mike Brown want to mess with the starting lineup? I thought from the beginning of the season when he was starting to double big, I thought that the Deuce in that lineup looked better, right? Than having Mitch out there. I really like Deuce in that lineup. Obviously, with Josh Hart, in the lineup, it looks great as well. So, yeah, I don't know if that's something he's ready to do, in order to get Tyler Kolek some minutes. But Deuce he's been amazing since he's come back, and his confidence is just growing.
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. No, I mean, I'm with you 100%. I agree with that. I think that so one of the things when before the season started, the lineup that I thought the Knicks should do would be to have Deuce as the starter, because I just think that Deuce gives them what they need. He may not be the playmaker that Tyler Kolek is, but as far as someone else who can go out there, play defense, help Brunson out, and who can make a shot, has a great mid-range, but also can knock down a shot when he's flowing well. I just thought that was going to help the team. However, I will say, surprisingly, I do think that I've seen how impactful Josh Hart is with the starting lineup. And it's hard not to say that it works, but it's just all about, like, what do you think is going to help the team most, in a basketball game? Like, does Josh Hart being in the starting lineup help them more than having Deuce out there, and then Josh Hart take his ability in helping the second unit, because the second unit seems a little disjointed and all over the place? They need a little structure. So that's a hell of a point.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. I hear you on that. So we'll see, what they do going forward, because I do think that Mike Brown is willing to, he's going to be willing to start trying different things, and he doesn't care about how it looks, because he's the coach. It's everything, falls on him anyway. So, why not try it out? Don't second guess yourself to see what takes place. We'll see.
Yeah. Chuck Roman said the plus minus with Deuce in the lineup is better than Josh. He should start, but Josh has a little ego now that he's been starting. He thinks he's too good to come off the bench now. I think he would. If Mike Brown asked him to come off the bench, I think he'd come off the bench.
Yeah, I think he'll do whatever Brown tells him to do at this point, especially after watching. See, the good thing, when things happen, I always say this is good. I said this years ago. I don't know if it translates that way, but I would think it helps. When, we had that 1 year where Julius Randle was hurt at the end of the season, and Obi got to start, and, he dropped 40 in one game, 30 in another, quickly went off. But Julius got to sit on the bench and actually watch them play. And I thought that was a good thing. And so I feel like, even though Josh was hurt, when he was back on the bench, he got to watch them lose these games. He got to see the problems. Even when they were talking about how they played, he was tweeting, "Man, we look like trash." He said something like that.
Yeah.
Like, he could see it. So I think he'd be more willing to do whatever Mike Brown says that's going to help the team, because he knows that they have some issues. So
Yeah. I think he'd do whatever. I mean, he's going to get his 35 minutes anyway.
yeah, it don't matter. He's going to play.
He's getting his minutes anyway. He does. He helps the team too much.
Yeah,
and it was evident last night too. You know how different the team is with Josh Hart.
Yeah,
evident last night.
Definitely was. Speaking of last night, guys, you know, the last game of this week's recap was the Knicks versus the Portland Trail Blazers, in which we were able to get, I think, a solid victory over a team that's been playing pretty damn good basketball as of late. You know, we were able to beat Portland 123-114. Behind, I think, you know, there's still some things in the game that, you know, we need to clean up. Nothing's perfect. Let me just double check what Portland is. They're 19-21, but they've won 7 of their last 10. Right.
Yeah.
So they've been playing good basketball. And in this game, man, like it's something that, oh wait, I gotta move this. My apologies, guys. Let me just get this off the screen. All right. Let me go back to that. I can just, if my mouse would cooperate, and it's not. Oh my God. Live shows, guys. Sim understands. He gets it. The mouse will work, yo. There it is. Okay.
There you go.
Jesus. Yo. It's crazy. All right. Anyway, isn't it interesting, guys? And this is about Josh Hart and Deuce McBride. Have you noticed how great these guys have played coming off injuries? Like, and Josh has done this multiple times. He comes out like not being there. Like if he was like he never left. How do you come out? This is the last time he did it was phenomenal too. I forgot what he had, like 18 rebounds. It was crazy. Whatever he did when he came back, it was nuts. How do you come back not playing these games? Come out, have 18 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Play 30 minutes and you know, knock down 3 threes. Like these guys they're battle tested. They know how to go out there and just play basketball. They've seen it all. They've been through it all, and it shows. So Josh was definitely impactful last night. OG Anunoby was great. He had 24, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Karl Anthony Towns, what we're going to get into a little bit more, he had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. He played well, really efficient too. Mikal Bridges had a good game. He had 18, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block, and 3 steals. And then Jalen Brunson had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal. Very good night from our starters. Deuce McBride chipped in 8 points, 3 assists. And Mitchell Robinson off the bench had 6 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. That's a nice stat line from Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. So, but when we talked about inconsistent play, I mean, what is this? What are we doing, Jordan Clarkson? 3 points, yo.
Right.
Like that's not the bench scoring we hoped for when we brought you in here. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, I like the ability of Jordan Clarkson. I know he's like he's like a light, he turns on, he's a firecracker. But we need a little less 3 points and a little more 10 points. Right? I'll sacrifice when he goes out there and has a really hot night and might drop 18. Forget the 18. Give me more 10s and 12s.
Yeah.
Just so I don't have to see 3 points, because this does nothing to help. In 13 minutes of play, 3 points, and your primary role here is to score points. That's not doing it.
Right. You know, and I think because of he's so erratic in his style of play, I don't really think Mike Brown is big on Jordan Clarkson. That's why I think when Shamet comes back, he's gonna take a lot of Jordan Clarkson's minutes, because I just don't think Mike Brown is big on his style of play. You know what I mean? He's just so erratic looking and the shot selection, is crazy. I think when Shaman comes back, we see Jordan Clarkson lose minutes.
I can see that.
And I think Jordan Clarkson is a guy, like I said earlier, that needs to know, that needs that structure of here's my minutes, here's when I'm coming in, here's when I'm coming out. I know I'm gonna get 15, 16, 17, 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So he can settle into it. And maybe that allows him to not rush shots, to not take crazy shots. When his minutes are up and down, I think, he's more going to be up and down with his play and going to rush shots and take bad shots because, maybe I'm trying to prove that I should get more minutes out there on the floor and, or I don't know when I'm going to be taken out. So, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna do whatever it is. I just think he's that kind of guy. And I can't blame Mike Brown for his minutes being erratic because if it were me, I would cringe every time. If I were his coach, I would go crazy. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine Jordan Clarkson with Tibbs.
Right.
I could imagine it because Tibbs has that type of regimented substitution pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Very strict. I don't care if you scored 50 points in the first quarter. You're coming out at 6 minutes. you know what I mean? Doesn't matter. Right? So Jordan Clarkson is a guy that might benefit from that. If Tibbs was able to get through his first few games with him, what the hell is he doing? If Tibbs was able to get through that, then it might have helped him. It might have helped Jordan Clarkson, but I just don't know if he's going to be. Mike Brown is a little looser. I think his substitution patterns. I think he has he always mentions his minute charts, not really substitution chart or pattern. But I think he goes off of the feel of the game more as far as how he substitutes. You know what I mean? As we seen with Cat last night, right?
Right.
And I don't know if that benefits Jordan Clarkson. And I think with Shamet, he plays more in the control. I think more the way that Mike Brown would like to see. I think that's one of the reasons why he likes him so much. And Shamet's okay with, he's just going to play his game no matter what. He's not going to play his game based on if his minutes are up and down because he's just more of a stable player himself.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a good point. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Oh, and shout out to Vaughn Allen. He said, plus it's a contract year for Deuce. I mean, Deuce got to play to make sure he's set himself up. He already took the homeboy discount. I don't think he's gonna get another one. They're gonna have to talk it up for Deuce this time around. So he's nah, Deuces. Yeah, no, he's like, no. I got to get mine for my family, and I can't fault them for that at all.
You can't. No, exactly.
Yeah. So I just had a couple more questions, and then obviously, the good thing about the Knicks is that they're going to have these 2 days off. They get today off and they get tomorrow off, but then they go right into a back-to-back. I don't know how the schedule people did this, what they did for the Knicks this year, but they smacking them. But I guess if you're going to get a back-to-back, you would like to have 2 days off before it starts. So, I mean, it could be worse. But I wonder, Sam, do you think the NBA Cup was a bad thing for the Knicks? Because I feel like they were playing really good basketball. And obviously the flip side is the good part about it is the competition level in the NBA Cup, allowed the Knicks to lock in, go out there, focus. It brought the best out of them, how they played against Orlando after what took place earlier in the year. We could say that, who knows? Anything could be the truth. They played Orlando already. They lost to Orlando. They figured out what they needed to do better just naturally. Or it could also be the fact that it's the NBA Cup. The games matter a little bit more, chance to be in Vegas and play them and all that good stuff. You get in Vegas to play them. That mattered. The money attached to it mattered. So you have a little bit of extra incentive. and then you play San Antonio, and it with a chance to actually just win it, whatever it is, and win more money. So I think the incentive there definitely helped them really lock in. And then you also got great effort from the young players coming off the bench because you know the incentive. But I just wonder, was it worth it because of all the play, the multiple games in a few days, and then the travel? Is that what really set the Knicks up for the malaise of losing 4 in a row? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. That's a good question. So one thing that I've been saying, though, as far as the Knicks being tired, if exhausted, and that it's hard for me to accept that. And the reason why is because it's part of the reason that Mike Brown was brought here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And part of the reason why we've seen them play so many players, right? To preserve our guys for the playoffs. And we've seen it being done. So if they're still tired after we've played 12 guys and guys have sat out games for rest and those things, then I don't know. I feel like we shouldn't be tired. Now, emotionally, I don't think you can control that, right? So does it take an emotional toll on you? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's just 2 games you got to battle through to win the title, to win the NBA Cup. You know what I mean? So, but still, it could be emotionally draining. You know what I mean? And maybe it's natural. Maybe it is natural for a team to have, an emotional letdown, some games after it, similar to when you see a highly, highly contested game that's really, really emotional, and then the next night or the next game, the team has an emotional letdown and maybe lose to a worse team.
Right.
Right. And, maybe it is something like that. You know what I mean? They just have some kind of an emotional letdown, or maybe teams are actually coming at you a little bit harder because you won the cup too. Mm-hmm. The schedule wasn't kind to them after the cup either.
Right. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. It's not really during the cup or before the cup. I just think like the kickoff, the week after, the time right after the cup is kind of what put them in a little bit of a spiral. And even if they don't necessarily really feel it, but if they know, hey, we just played San Antonio, now we got to play the Hawks. Then we're playing the 76ers. We're playing the 76ers. They haven't played since last Sunday. We just play, you know what I mean? Like maybe in your mind, you're like, oh man, they're fresh. And then certain things happen during the game. Well, we've been playing, man. These guys have been rested. You know what I mean? Like you just start thinking certain things while you're out there. And it could affect what's happening.
It could. There's no doubt about it. How do you fight against it?
Unfortunately,
like how does, and I think that's on Mike Brown to help to put in them. Okay, look at the schedule coming up. We're going to take it one game at a time, but it's going to be tough. We've got to be ready for a grind. Like just put the team in a mindset that it's grind time. We got to grind this out for the next couple of weeks. We got to grind it out. So we won the cup. We got to put that behind us and let's grind this out. You know what I'm saying? Let's stand up to it. Let's battle through it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a message, maybe not. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I think that's one of the ways that you prepare for, you as a coach, you prepare your team for it.
Mm-hmm. Kareem says, could it be the practices is why they are so tired with Tibbs? They didn't have that at Ron. I don't even think it's that, bro, because honestly, they haven't had time to practice. There's been no time.
Yeah. And I do think Mike Brown would be smart enough. A practice doesn't have to be like you're running sprints and going hard. A practice can be you're just going through things that you are weakened at. Right? You're just working on those things. That could be a practice. It doesn't have to be that you're going hard. You know what I mean? So I don't think a practice has to be, it's taking a lot out of you. You want to practice. You know what I mean? You got to in order to work out some of the kinks.
Right.
But you don't have to. You can go light and work out the kinks.
Right. I mean, so even though I do think maybe it affected the team in a way, I also believe that the NBA Cup overall was a positive experience for them. Chance for them to get some money. The coaches got some money. The players got some money. They got a chance to go to Vegas for a couple days. And I do think in the long run, that time that they spent throughout the NBA Cup, once again, it pushed them and gave them a little bit of playoff atmosphere within the season.
Exactly.
And it built their chemistry early. Like, so, sometimes it takes a lot longer for chemistry to build with the whole unit. The starters might get it, and some of the rotation members might get it, especially if they've played already with the team in multiple years or whatever. But the 15th man on the bench, the 13th man on the bench, the 11th guy, maybe you don't have that same level of, but that little NBA Cup moment, them guys really got to bond and come together. So I think in the long run, that was a good thing, man. So.
Yeah, it was a great thing for him because of everything that you said. You know what I mean? And it helped Mike Brown to understand some of their tendencies in meaningful games too.
Agreed.
Ron, I'm being summoned.
No, I hear you. But you know what? I got one last question for you, Sim, before you go, and then I'll just talk about the next game, and I'm gonna wrap it up. The one quick question for you, and this was a little controversial. We talked about it on Saturday's show, but I'm curious to know what you think. The style of play that we got, moving the ball, moving ourselves, trusting, all that good stuff. Do you feel like maybe the Knicks have become too unselfish?
There are times when they've come too I've seen them pass up shots to pass to another guy that had a shot to pass to another guy that had a shot. Yes, I think there are times when they've been too unselfish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes it worked to their detriment. Yeah, it is a good sign that they're trying to work the system, right? But and so now maybe they've got to find that medium ground where they say, okay, this is a good shot, even though he might, I could have passed it off to him, but this is a good shot too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Nah, man, I appreciate that. And once again, thanks to the Podfather Sim, Nothing But Knicks in the building, MBK fam, guys. If you haven't checked out Sim, Nothing But Knicks, I don't know where y'all been. The Podfather's been doing it. One of the originators, none greater. Appreciate you once again, Sim. Thank you, guys. Please go show love to MBK fam, man. Sim,
it's your
my brother. Till the next time.
Yeah, peace, Ron. Thank you.
Later.
Peace.
Okay, so let me change my little view here. Where is it? There we go. All right, guys. So yeah, man, this has been an interesting week. There was some good and some bad that came out of it, but I think even the bad is good, right? Because you learn from it. You take what you learned and you apply it to your next time out, right? Knicks got smacked by Detroit, took that smacking, played a Clipper team that had been playing well, went out there and got the job done, got the victory. Go off of the Clipper game, play a Phoenix team that is a lot more aggressive and physical. They came out, played better basketball for 4 quarters, and down the stretch wound up winning the game. Take that loss, that physicality once again, that style of play. They go to Portland. They play Portland. Portland also comes with a similar style of physicality. The Knicks make the adjustment. So each time you catch a moment where the Knicks may lose or may struggle, this week at least, they look like they are learning from each moment and being better in the next game. So hopefully, they can take that and it spirals into more development, more learning, more team chemistry, more experience. Sherwin says the bad is never good. Good, better, best. Okay, I can dig it. All right. Well, hopefully those losses were helping them be better to the point where eventually they'll be the best. But we'll see. B. Willis says Free Hulk and Diawara high motor players. They will make the vets stand up. Well, we'll see. I mean, unfortunately, as the Knicks are starting to get healthy, minutes are going to be very scarce to come by for these young players. But I think that Mike Brown has seen enough of them to know how they can help the team in their own ways, and if he needs to call on them, he will. But I do welcome the sight of getting Landry Shamet back, as well as having Josh Hart back now. So, I mean, I just think it helps the team overall, and and then you can sprinkle in these guys if needed, or to give guys a little break, or and who knows, Mike Brown might, if they get on another run, he might even be willing to rest guys for a game. Hey, take a day off. Let me play one of these young guys. That's the best case scenario. We'll see. But anyway, the Knicks have two more West Coast games versus the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday, and then Thursday, like I said, the back-to-back with the Golden State Warriors. For whatever reason, we always struggle against Golden State, but I hope that the Knicks, just like Detroit have their own reasons for circling that game against us, I hope the Knicks have a reason to circle that game against the Warriors. And Draymond Green has said a lot about the New York Knicks over the past year or so. I would love to go out there and just smack Draymond Green one time for the one time. You know what I mean? Let him know that, you can say whatever you want about our team. We may not be the toughest on the court. Because I always say these guys are all tough. They're tough individuals for how they go out there, what they do, what they compete through. They may not be tough on the court, but they're tough individuals. So I want them to go smack the Warriors. I want both these games, to be honest. I mean, there's no reason why the Knicks shouldn't beat the Kings. Mike Brown's old team, I'm sure he wants the victory. I'm sure he's got this one circled on his calendar, right? They fired him, so I'm sure he wants to beat the Kings. And secondly, I hope the Knicks as a team want to beat the Warriors. So get both of these games. You know what I mean? Let's take care of business. I'm not going to even get into the whole, tail of the tape. It is what it is, guys. But I think these are two games that the Knicks definitely need to go out there and put their best foot forward if they can. Because you know what? Why not? It started against Portland. Let's keep it going. Shout out to Phil Porto in the building. You know what I mean? Knicks Nightcap is in the building. Nick of Time show channel. The whole shebang, the whole family. Salute to everybody over there. My guy Apollo, appreciate you as well. Good to see you, Phil. Mellow Mike in the building, member of the SKF Army, says, "Hey, Ron, do you see the Knicks making a move to lock up Dink on a two-way contract to not lose him, not necessarily play him, but to keep him with us?" I think, I mean, that's what it's looking like. I'm not totally for certain because, like I said on Saturday's show, they've got that kid, and I forgot his name already. I'm not great with names. The kid that's playing on the G League team that's been knocking down threes at a high clip. I think he's hitting he's like 44% or 45. I don't know. One of those. He's knocking down threes. So they may think that they need him, but with Landry Shamet on the way back, we probably don't need him for his 3-point shooting. So I think Dink Pate makes a lot of logical sense. Having another point guard with good height, very active, plays decent defense for his size. And, remember I talked about earlier in the show, someone who could do the 3Ds, dribble, drive, and dish. Dink Pate is one of those guys. His outside shot is still something that he has to work on, but he can score. Like, he's a slasher who can get to the hoop. He's got a good handle. He can break you down and get to the basket. And that's something from a point guard standpoint outside of Brunson that we don't really have. And the fact that he is not that go-to scorer would allow him to be more of a facilitator, because when you're not the man when it comes to offense, you need to share the wealth, right? The guys who are the men, the ones that go out there and they're a bucket, you don't expect them to pass the ball all the time. That's why I say we got to take it easy with Brunson. When he does pass, it's great, but he's a bucket. The buckets got to be buckets. All the buckets in the league, they're used to being the bucket. You know what I mean? They go get the points. But you guys know what I mean. So we'll see. I don't know anything about that, brother. That would be crazy if they did. And I would be interested to see what they got back if that's the case. I don't know. I didn't get an alert about that, but I'll keep my ears tuned. But yeah. So it's we'll see what happens going forward, man. All I know is the Knicks, are going to have moments of adversity where we're going to expect them to come out there and play good basketball, and they're going to get tested. And so we just hope they do what they need to do. Hope they learn from whatever experiences they get. That's all I can ask for. But before I get out of here, I just want to give you guys a quick update. I don't know where you are in your All-Star voting, but please vote. Last minute votes for the All-Star team. Most likely Jalen Brunson is going to be an All-Star. Whether he'll be a starter or not, I mean, I guess because of the votes, he probably will be. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be an All-Star as well. I don't know if he'll be a starter because I think right now he's around 7th, but he'll definitely be on the team. And then you got OG Anunoby, who is, I think, 13th or something like that. He is going to have to do something in the next couple of weeks to pass somebody like Pascal Siakam. I think Pascal Siakam is 10th or 9th. He's going to have to move up into that area to be able to be really considered to be an all-star. If not, he'll be just on the outside looking in. And then you got Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges right behind each other. I think they're in the teens. So it's nice to see the representation of these guys, but maybe safely the only two that are probably going to make the All-Star team are Brunson and Cat, unless something changes. Here's the look. I know it's kind of small, but the bottom line is you can see Jalen Brunson is number 2 in the East with a lot of votes, almost 2 million votes, guys. Look how far Jalen Brunson has come over the past couple of years. Remember when that first year that he became an All-Star, we were fighting to try to get him votes, and we couldn't get. Everybody was saying Knicks fans weren't doing their job. Look at how different things are now. 2nd in voting in the East. Shout out to y'all, man. As I said, Karl Anthony Towns is 7th. Then you got OG Anunoby at 13. I don't think he'll be able to catch Michael Porter Jr., but if he can do something over the next couple games and really kind of, show some interesting play, maybe he'll be able to get up to Pascal Siakam. You never know. Or, but either way, he's at 13. And like I said, then you've got Josh Hart at 16. And Mikal Bridges is at 15. So the Knicks are having a really good showing. And so at least that's good. Obviously on the West Coast, you got Luka, Jokic, Curry, Shea, and Victor Wembanyama in the top 5. In the East, it's Giannis, Brunson, Maxey, Cade Cunningham, and Donovan Mitchell in the top 5. And then Jaylen Brown is on the outside at 6, which I got to say, I'm not a fan of the Celtics. You guys know that. But I will say Jaylen Brown is having a fantastic year, and maybe he's getting a little overlooked. I don't know. Maybe people are just used to Tatum being the man out there. But I got to tell you, Jaylen Brown has been playing really good basketball, if you haven't noticed. So either way, that is what it is, guys. That's your all-star voting. You still have time to get votes in, so please vote every day until the all-star voting stops. The all-star game is Sunday, February 15th at 5 p.m., so there you know. All right, guys, I want to say thank you to everybody. Humberto de Lejos in this house is in the building. Said Dink Pate averages 3 turnovers a game. Check the stats. Yeah, I mean, but I don't think they're not bringing in Dink Pate to be the primary ball handler and to start. He's averaging those turnovers too because he's also the primary ball handler, getting the minutes with the G League team. You're not bringing him in here to be the primary ball handler. You're bringing him to possibly be a backup and get some minutes here and there if need be. But once again, that's also not a given. We don't even know that. They could have that 2-way open for somebody else. We have no clue. So who knows? But he's shooting 44% from 3. That's pretty nice. That's good. Yeah. Generally, he's struggled with his outside shot, but right now he's in a hot streak. So that's good. Hey, Keith Turner, Good to see you, my brother. Peace. Always a pleasure, my guy. Anyway, I want to thank everybody out there. Thank you guys for rocking. And please smash that like button if you haven't already. Share out to the rest of your people. Let them know, replay gang, if they want to check out the show. Some of y'all tuned in late. It was a really good conversation with my brother Sim, the podfather of Nothing But Knicks NBK fam. So please check it out if you haven't checked out the whole show. I will catch y'all on Saturday for Know the Ledge. Let's hope the Knicks can get these next two games, Wednesday versus Sacktown, and then Thursday versus the Warriors. These are big games. Always tough to play West Coast teams. Let's get these victories, y'all. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. As I always say, no matter what happens, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, we are still Knicks fans. You know what I mean? We're here. Take care of yourselves. Tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans. We'll be back again, whether it be on Monday nights at 9 p.m. for SKF Weekly with myself, my brother John usually, and my brother Jose on the ones and twos holding it down, or on Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. for Know the Ledge, as I help talk y'all off the ledge, or y'all help talk me off the ledge. Open panel. We always welcome you guys. Thank you for supporting the show on our way to 10K. Please smash the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. As I always say, man, take care of yourselves. Be good. And if you can't be good, you know what? Be good at it. You know what I mean? Take care of yourselves, though. Don't forget to check on your loved ones, y'all. It sounds easy, but we don't do enough of it. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out.
New York Knicks. First. Go Knicks.
We can finally, start playing, man. So much talk this whole summer. It's felt like so long because we've had so much to talk about. At times it's been kind of slow, but we've been talking, right? But we've actually had a really good off season for this New York Knicks team, and it's been very active. There's been a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, Knicks family, we in the building. I am the Objective fan from the Objective Knicks fan channel, and I'm gonna give a big salute to Ron and John from Still Knicks fans.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Knicks family, I'm Stephanie, aka Blood Still Knicks.
What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Lady and the Chef from Two Knicks Chicks Podcast. Still a Knicks fan.
What's good, party people in the place to be? It's your main man.
What's up, everybody? This is Steve Black 21 at Two Knicks Chicks Podcast, and I'm still a Knicks fan.
Yo, this is your boy Sim from Nothing But Knicks. Through all the struggles, through all the heartache and pain, ladies and gentlemen, I am still a Knicks fan.
Peace, y'all. This is Apollo Reed from the Garden Knicks crew. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm still a Knicks fan.
I'm still here. We're still here. Still Knicks fans. It's a fandom. It's a lifestyle.